That's why it's important to break certain, like to break curses as well, because those toxic things are passed down. And so I definitely found myself operating in that, and also attracting what I was operating in. And,
Yeah.
and so if you're operating in toxicity, then that's what you're going to attract more than likely. Now, can you attract the opposite? Absolutely. I'm not saying that that's not feasible, but more than likely, you're going to attract some trash.
You're gonna get that vibe.
Yeah.
You're gonna get that vibe. Yeah. And that's something that is so crazy because we get used to functioning in dysfunction, in crisis mode, and chaos. It becomes our normal. So we don't expect anything but that chaos, that confusion, that crisis experience of toxicity. Because that's what toxic is. If you're toxic, you don't even know what it is to be healthy. You can't. It's impossible.
If you're toxic, you don't know what it is to be healthy. Wow.
So yeah, we're this evening going to be talking about relationship toxicity and really also how to detox. Thank you. So speaking for myself, I know that I didn't realize how toxic I was some years ago, dealing with relationships. Bouncing from relationship to relationship, just dealing with all the pain, all the residue from previous relationships, and not really taking time to heal. And I had a breaking point in like 2017, 2018. I think I told you about 2018. I had seasonal anxiety. I mean, it's just like, what in the world is going on with my life, right? So I didn't have any understanding of the cycles that I was creating. I don't know if y'all can hear us or not. Hopefully y'all can hear us clear.
Please let us know if y'all can hear us clear. Those of you watching, please,
No
we
doubt.
greatly appreciate it.
So I know, it was just those cycles, creating cycles and patterns that just contributed to my toxicity. Yeah.
I can definitely relate to that. And I'll never forget, it was monumental for me in my previous marriage, where he was like, you so used to being in chaos. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like not realizing that the chaos that was even passed down from previous relationships, as far as like that I engaged in, and that I seen in my family, in my bloodline, right? So that chaos was being passed down. And so then that's how I operated in toxicity. And it goes back to, that's why it's important to break certain, like to break curses as well, because, those toxic things are passed down. And so I definitely found myself operating in that, and also attracting what I was operating in.
Yeah.
And so if you're operating in toxicity, then that's what you're going to attract more than likely. Now, can you attract the opposite? Absolutely. I'm not saying that that's not feasible, but more than likely, you're going to attract some trash.
You're going to get that vibe.
Yeah.
You're going to get that vibe. Yeah. And that's something that is so crazy because we get used to functioning in dysfunction, in crisis mode, and chaos. It becomes our normal. So we don't expect anything but that chaos, that confusion, that crisis experience of toxicity. Because that's what toxic is. If you're toxic, you don't even know what it is to be healthy. You can't. It's impossible.
If you're toxic, you don't know what it is to be healthy. Wow. That was good. That's so true too. Oh
I didn't know. I didn't know I was broke. I didn't know I was like. See, I consider myself fragmented, right? Mm-hmm. My parenting situation, with 3 boys and 3 women, that was fragmenting in and of itself. But I didn't have them with me every day, so that fragmented me, and I had to reconcile that And I saw myself as a child in that situation. I saw myself as a child in all of my boys. You know, my father, you know, we had to leave him due to his toxicity, you know, his alcoholism. So that just that's the start of the cycle. And I didn't even see it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even see it until, you know, later.
So, and then that's exactly, you know, what I mean, like being passed down, because, you know, seeing my father and my mother, you know, in the domestic disputes and the violence and the going back and forth, the fighting,
All that.
that I eventually attracted that in my relationships, you know, so it was kind of normal for me to be in a fist fight with the individual that I'm married to or that I'm dating.
That's crazy.
Like, because again, I seen that was okay, you know, and that was something that I really didn't put a defense up to, because I'm like, hey, this is the norm. Right.
No, it's not.
Right.
Right.
But like you said, like, what'd you say when you so used to
toxic?
You know what?
You don't know this.
Oh gosh, man. That's that right there. That I don't know if y'all taught that, Jim, but I gotta repeat that. When you are toxic, you don't know what it's like to be healthy.
I serve my baby too. I love serving her. Make sure she get everything she needs. You know what I'm saying? And we're still learning each other, you know, and growing. We had a good heart to heart just a little while ago. And but let's just stay focused, right? Because toxicity. What is it to be toxic? You know, when we look up this word, I'll read the first, we read the second. So the first definition of toxicity is the quality of being toxic or poisonous. Poisonous. Like, you can be poisonous in a relationship. You can be poisonous to yourself, right? And poisoning is you know, lethal. That's lethal. That's lethal. You know, so you gotta be aware of that.
2 is being very harmful or unpleasant in a pervasive or insidious way, like evil, you know, devious to your mate. They make you mad, you know, even going to go slash tires. I didn't have my tire slashing moments, busting out windows, all that.
No,
I mean,
no. Not the sweetest thing I ever known. The sweetest thing.
I was operating in my toxicity, and I did not know what being healed was.
Wow.
So,
she's so cute. I would never see that. Ever.
Don't see it, babe. I'm an angel.
It ain't gonna get provoked either. Look.
Thank you. So yeah, that was being harmful, and not only harmful to the individual, but to yourself, because I was so harmful, babe. Like, I was doing things that I didn't even know I was endangering myself. You know, could have been in jail, could have been dead. You know, could have wilding up, not wilding.
There's a difference. Wilding is one thing. No, wilding is one thing, but wilding. Yeah,
I was.
You out there.
Like it was.
That's deep. That's deep. But you know, pervasiveness and insidiousness. That's deep. Pervasive to me is like it's all in your face. It's like, I'm just toxic. I'm harmful. Insidious is like, you know what? I'm just gonna put some drips in this. I'm gonna put a little cyanide in your water. Not a lot, right? But it's gonna add up. It's called attrition. It will add up. It ain't gonna just be boom, floodgates bust open, but it's going to accumulate. Insidious, you know, it's hidden. Ulterior motives. That's dark. That's dark.
That's true.
Yeah. So toxic, again, being toxic or poisonous, the quality of that. Like, if that's your quality, that's horrible. That's no quality. That's a low quality.
And some people do have that quality,
right?
Because again, they're not healthy.
Low vibration, very low vibration. And then harmfulness, unpleasantness in a pervasive or insidious way. So then when we talk about relationships, a relationship, one definition is the state of being connected by blood or marriage, or just, you know, friendship. You know, there's connections. What the key word is, connectivity. A relationship is having a connection, quality connection, right? What you got on number 2?
The way in which two or more people or groups regard. Yeah, you see that?
That's the risk of going live at a restaurant.
I'm gonna bring that back. Say that part that disrupted me. But two, the way in which two or more people or groups regard and behave toward each other. And
regard, behave and regard. How do you regard yourself, number one, right? Do you love yourself? Do you take care of yourself? How do you regard your partner? How do you regard? Do you even regard them? Do you even consider them, right? That's like considering. Are you considerate? You consider the other person, how they feel, right? What they think, right? What are they saying? How are you interacting? How are you behaving toward them and with them, right? Do you have entitlement issues? Do you expect for someone to do something for you or to you without you even giving anything? Because the whole thing, what I'm really realizing, you said this what love is, right? What one of the, and we'll get to the symptoms of, or not the symptoms, the remedies, but one of the biggest remedies is reciprocity, with righteous reciprocity. So relationships have to be co-equal, interdependent, not dependent, right? Not even independent, which is something that, a lot of people have to deal with. I'm so independent that I don't need a relationship. So, connections are important. And the key is to really understand the connection that you're experiencing. No doubt. Break it down. Number two, look at that. That's great.
Which is toxicity. So
yeah,
connections can be negative and positive. And even when you look at that from an electrical standpoint, and we're talking about us being energy and vibrating on a certain level, so then you have to look at, are you connected to a negative source or a positive source? And relationships are going to be one or the other, and we're gonna get into that too. And so in that, we have to analyze our relationships, and I think from the beginning that we can identify on whether or not that relationship is toxic based off what it's producing, right? Is that conduit, right?
Conducive.
Exactly. Is it charging you, right, negatively or positively? And sometimes a lot of us will stay around a negative charge. Even though it's not bringing us anything, we're going to stick around to it, and that's not healthy. And so when we do that, then that negative source continues to create more toxicity. And again, if you don't know what healthy looks like, then you're not going to be able to be aware. You're not going to be able to call it out. You're not going to, be able to identify. Pastor M. Hey. So yeah.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful because, again, how you regard yourself is going to determine what type of relationship you find yourself in. Or even if you're even ready to be in a relationship. That's something that's even more deep. Because sometimes you may not even be ready for a relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship because you're used to being in a relationship, to hide the toxicity that you have to address, but you don't want to address it. So what do? You hide in the relationship. So that happens.
What you call that? Back to back. What you call it?
Pinballing, like a pinball.
No.
Relationship.
Yeah.
Cycles.
No, call it something. Oh well, let's get to something. But I guess I can.
Oh, you didn't read the connection definition, did you?
No, but I went to from an electrical standpoint. I did.
Okay. Positive, negative. Right,
yeah.
Right. So Ooh, symptoms, right?
Ooh, you just got me all over there.
I got you. We got the good seasoning. So when we look at symptoms of toxic relationships, right? Or just toxicity, toxic blood, right? Like your blood is toxic. That means you have an imbalance or either excessive something or something is deficient.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
That's what leads to toxicity. You either have too much of something or not enough of something.
Deficiency. Oh my gosh, that alone, baby.
Yeah.
Woo wee.
So that creates toxicity.
Many of us are even deficient in love, and we try to get into these. Oh my gosh, just be. Oh man, you struck that one. That was good. Oh, that was good. Oh, that was good. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was really good, y'all. That was okay. That's deep. Yeah. What do you call it though, baby? It was like excessive dating, but you call it
serial dating.
Serial dating. That's what that
serial
leads
dating.
to. Yeah.
Serial dating. Or serially monogamous. You know what I'm saying? I was serially monogamous a lot of my time. You know what I'm saying? Just out of order. You know? Out of order.
Masking and toxicity.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. I mean, even when you look at it, like, even when you deal, and I'm just going to be just transparent, when you deal with like masturbation and pornography, right, that's still toxic. You know, that's still something that creates imbalance in your relationship, right? Because now you're creating illusory reality. You know what I'm saying? Virtual reality. That's my comment in.
No. Hi, Angel. Hi, Pastor Mario. Hi, Michelle. Hey, Alice. Hey, Gigi. I just wanted to shout out everybody.
Shout out to everybody on the line.
Yeah, there you go.
No doubt.
But okay, 2.
Poisonous marriage. A poisonous marriage. You got two people coming together who are not healed. Those two negatives don't create a positive. They create a negative, right? So when we look at the chemistry of this, going back to chemistry, right? You have to make sure that you are in a state of homeostasis.
2 negatives create a deeper deficiency.
Yes. Yeah.
That's like that. At that point, because when you are deficient, like that's like creeping up on that. Like that's okay.
And it's slow. And that's you think of somebody who's being poisoned. You got people who are being poisoned, like you can be poisoned quick. And then you got people who are poisoned over time. You know. So relationships can be either that quick go or they could be that slow go, you know. Because if you find yourself just stuck in this relationship that you know is toxic, you know, and we've gotten to a point where people love toxic stuff though now. I mean, this is a society we live in where things are like promoted to be toxic. And as a result of that, you know, you see people just in these toxic a lot because maybe the sex is good, you know, because, you know, you just are attached to someone or you trauma bonded, right? Look, all those things, I've been there.
As well.
You know, so you have to make sure that you are able to free yourself of that. But this is all about taking care of yourself and detoxing yourself. You know, the only way you can detox yourself is if you know what toxins you're dealing with, right? If you're sick and you don't know the symptoms, you can't get to the root. If you don't get to the root, you can never remedy your issue. Well, but poison is a substance that reduces the activity of a catalyst. That means you can't change. A catalyst is something that like creates change for the good, but poisons inhibit that. It reduces the activity. So that means you're stagnant. You don't have no flow. Your blood is stale. Your marriage is stale. Your relationship is stale. There's no growth. You're not growing, right? You're not praying. You're not reading the word. You're not having an engaging relationship, getting out and growing and, you know, fulfilling goals and doing things that are going to allow the relationship to prosper because you're poisonous. And you may even go out and feign like you're, and fake like you're, oh, we're great. I love this person. But yeah, behind the closed doors, toxic. And that's creating more toxicity. Yep.
I just like keep seeing like the snake, you know, that venom, you're venomous, you know. Venomous is a snake bite. Oh my gosh.
But think about a snake. A snake is hidden.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just
Exactly.
come out. They strike, you know, when you are least aware.
So true.
That's how that works. But, you know, go ahead.
Pervasively harmful regard.
Right. How's that strike?
Pervasively. I think of cancerous. You know, it's harmful, it's pervasive, you know, it's there to, you know, it's there to attack, you know what I'm saying? Eat. You know, it has no regard for your health or any of that. Like, it takes over. And most of the times, a lot of people don't even know that they got cancer. Like, it just becomes really pervasive. So it's there. So, like, sometimes we don't know that we're being toxic or that our mate is even being toxic. And we're just so used to how we operate as a body that we don't realize that it's being pervasive, that it's taking us away from our purpose, that it's taking us away from even loving ourselves, you know.
Yes.
So
right, that's how it ends up being internalized. Toxic relationships now become reflective of yourself. You internalize that. You don't regard yourself in a positive, alkaline way, so to speak, right? Right, you're in balance. Then your behavior becomes unpleasant, right? Your children experience it, right? Your family experiences it. At the job, you experience it. You know, your whole life is now under the influence of this toxicity. So everything around you becomes toxic. Everything you touch becomes toxic. This is why it's so important to detox, right? So here's the question for you, babe. Like, what have you done to detox yourself from past relationships?
I think spending a lot of me time with myself and withdrawing from toxic relationships, you know, learning to like pull myself away and to focus on me. And I think having a rapid reflection, facing myself in the mirror and saying, hey, you know, this is it. Like, you need to deal with yourself, you know, and it was something that was like in my childhood. And some things are just going back to my childhood and being able to identify where this toxic trait is coming from. And, you know, sometimes we don't want to go back to those things in our childhood and deal with it. But that's that's where our freedom lies at, because you have to go back to what bound you to get set free. So you have to be able to identify, and it doesn't mean go back, like they say, like a dog and eat your vomit. You just have to be able to identify, you know, what caused that, what created me to be this way, you know, and work through it. You know? So what about you?
That's excellent. I mean, that's been big. And I was at work today. One thing that I thought about was dating myself. All that me time, you know, learning what I like, learning who I am.
So true.
You know, taking time to spend with myself. So that me time is so important. And in doing so, you know, you got to clear up, you got to meditate, you got to uncover those issues that you dealt with. And I had some good time these past couple of years to really do that. I was in a long distance relationship for a while. And so even in that long distance relationship, there was some time for me to really genuflect and reflect on myself and really address some of the issues that I had been dealing with pattern-wise, and then recognizing my patterns, and then being able to put a stop to my patterns, you know, because the serial monogamy or relationship, I had seen myself doing that. So before I met you, I had dated, you know, a few sisters, but I wasn't engaging in any extracurricular activities, you know what I'm saying? So I had allowed myself to interrupt those patterns, and that was huge for me. You know, it didn't seem big at first, but I was starting to recognize what my toxic traits were, you know, and not entangle myself and hide, you know, and plus the spirit was dealing with me. So prayer was huge, meditation was huge, working out, things of that nature, writing and reading, and really working on myself, building up myself so that I could be whole and healthy. And that's what we recommend. I recommend that for individuals, stay active, but then find your stillness too and invest in your stillness. Don't just let stillness be stillness for the sake of stillness. Invest in it. Get something out of it.
And like self-love is important, but I think sometimes like very selfish and self-love. So self-love is not to be consumed in selfishness. It is to learn to love yourself, learn to put yourself first, especially and not to please everyone, not be a people pleaser, and learning to receive love, because I think that's the thing too. It's like if you cannot receive what you give, then you cannot give what you want to receive.
Right.
Makes sense.
Right.
And so I think that's like a thing in part of remedying that.
Right.
It's learning that if you put out toxicity, then you're gonna get that back. And sometimes we kind of do like a woe is me and all of this, and it's like, no, well, what are you putting out? So I had to learn that what I put out is what I want to receive. And so if I'm being hateful and non-communicative and combative with my mate, then that's what I'm going to get in return. And so really learning too how to not give so much of myself without receiving nothing.
Yeah. That's major.
And a lot of that comes with, learning yourself, spending a lot of time with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Hey, shout out to Brother Qatar, cousin Dakota. What's up, Cody? What's up, Auntie? Thank y'all for tuning in. My brother Qatar says he never understood why some people seem to like toxic situations. That's all they know, though. Be it systemic, that is passed down from generation to generation. And they just create that system now. Now their whole system is functioning in toxicity, right? Some people are like functional alcoholics, functional crackheads. You know what I'm saying? I can go to work high, do what I need to do.
Right.
But you're full of toxicity. You're under the influence of this toxicity. And it's destroying you, right? It's destroying you. It's breaking you down slowly but surely.
And I can say, like, I have been completely destroyed by toxicity, like really finding myself having to rebuild myself up, from that. And that's like and sometimes we got to hit that rock bottom, because that's where we find our healing. That's where we learn how to heal.
Nowhere else to go.
I've, know what it's like to be completely destroyed by it and have it, break you down, into pulp. So like that's
Wow.
Yeah.
You're so beautiful now. No doubt. So yeah, that's powerful, But we just want to encourage you all, to really learn to love yourself, accept yourself, right? Don't let anyone make you feel less of an individual, of a person. We're all created by the Most High. We're not all the Most High's children. Let me clarify that, because not everybody loves the Most High and keeps the Most High's commandments, right? But that's where you find your meaning. This is where you find your value. You have to value yourself. You have to regard yourself and behave in a way that's reflective of your self-regard. Because if you don't, it starts there. If you don't have that, anybody can walk over you. Self-esteem is so important, right? Self-love, right? Because now you know how to treat yourself. No one else can treat you anyway. That's why, again, take time to date yourself. Take time to get to know yourself. We're eating some Sahara, mama, some Indian cuisine. We ain't really eating. We kind of snacking right now. We're going to smash it in a minute. I'm not spitting all over.
Whatever.
I am not. I ain't going to say that either. How about that?
Okay.
Oh, man. So, yeah. Man. We thank y'all for tuning in, though. We just want to definitely just come in and drop that off for a short moment. Hopefully it's been inspiring, it's been edifying, it's been encouraging. I'm not spitting on your food, baby.
It's good.
She's up there. I can see her looking down at the food. She's like,
I let the first one slide. It's all
right. But any closing thoughts for you?
oh, what's the verse about like cutting off the hand?
That's
You
in
know,
Matthew
like,
6, I think.
and sometimes you have to cut off relationships. It is what it is. And people are going to say that you being stanky, you changed, and all this. And sometimes that change is required for us to remove ourselves from them toxic environments and to heal. You know, sometimes we have to pull away from the negative and plug into the positive. So it's okay if you got to cut off the left hand, the right toe, the ankle on down the knee,
Right.
whatever it is for you, to not allow all of the rest of it to spread to the whole body. And we have to understand that we get so used to holding on to it. And what if so-and-so said this and how did, no, at some point, and this is where that self-love comes in at, like you have to learn to love and take care of yourself before anybody can do it. And it's going to require you cutting off some people who you say you love. But you have to understand that what love is kind, love is patient, love does not keep record. So these things that we've been taught to say we love are not being conducive to us. So we learn to love all the wrong. So really dig into that First Corinthians and make it applicable to yourself, to your relationships, to the connections that you build.
Right. Wow. Rich. You can love from a distance. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to make sure your environment is protected. You know, you think of just this COVID. We just came out of COVID. You can't be around someone with COVID. You can't get exposed to toxic like behavior and toxic regard, because that's going to infect you.
Yes, got to quarantine. And that's what I've had to share with Messiah, like with my father, granddad is sick right now. He's quarantined. We have to, protect ourselves because again, it'll run over. You know what I'm saying? Now my son is seeing me go back and forth with my dad and he's seeing no. So sometimes, you just gotta quarantine yourself.
Right. It's required.
The mask is required.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. 6 feet.
Yeah.
Maybe even 600 feet.
Whatever
so
you need.
You gotta do what you gotta do to protect your well-being. Because there's a lot of toxicity in our day and age right now. And so, you gotta make sure you're good and alkaline and balanced first and foremost. So you can start to heal, get whole. No doubt. That's what's up. We want to thank y'all for tuning in, for your comments, for your support. Please feel free to share this, you know what I mean? Because we want to really get our people free, get these relationships back in order, but get the self, because we're in some very trying times and the kingdom is on the way. We're going to try to prepare our souls for the kingdom, get these couples right, get ourselves right, get our families right. Go ahead, baby.
And having the Most High in your relationships is so important. That is the way that you save a lot of that toxicity, because this is what Yah has brought together, no man can
separate.
So we need to be mindful of creating kingdom-based relationships.
Rich.
And so, I think a lot of times we just build relationships and we don't ask, what's the purpose? What's the assignment? We go into straight being attached.
Right. Based off of attraction, physical attraction.
Yeah.
A monetary attraction.
Oh my gosh, my nose is starting to run.
Yep. We about to eat, so I want to again thank y'all for tuning in. So we about to get ugly on this plate.
Sure enough.
We'll talk with y'all next week. Most High willing.
I'm gonna get you cut off right there.
There you go. It's
All
back.
right.
It's good connection. All right.
Love
Peace
you
and
all.
blessings, y'all. Much love.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. No.